New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.
What's going on? This is Ellis from Nick of Time Show, here giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And it's time to give you that Knicks talk, ladies and gentlemen. We've only been away for a week, but there's a lot of Knicks talk to go around. First and foremost, Mr. Reliable, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy with the stats and the facts.
Ryan G in the building.
Damn right he's in this building, all right? Also joining us today, Mr. Hardwood Herald himself. Got so hot, Alan Hahn had to interview him because his videos was just that nice. He's invited to the table with us Knicks fans. Even though he's a Chicago fan, he's cool with me.
Lifelong New Yorker, though. Lifelong New Yorker.
Lifelong New Yorker.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, all around tool dude, Corey. Welcome, Corey. Welcome, man. All right, now.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yo, what was it like having Alan Hahn hit you? Was like, yo, come to the show. That had to be crazy.
Yeah, man. It was kind of surreal because, you know, I felt like he kind of, or I was kind of on his radar a little bit because around like April, I think, at like the beginning of the pandemic, Steve Popper from Newsday did like a feature on me in Newsday, and that was crazy. I didn't think it was going to be in the paper or anything. Like, I thought it was just going to be this online thing, and it was in the paper, and it got posted around, and there was, you know, after it got posted, like I didn't realize how big I think Newsday actually was still, because I thought print was dead and all that. But Alan Hahn, a couple other people had started like following me on Twitter. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of dope.
That's good.
And then I woke up like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I woke up and I had a DM from Alan Hahn saying like, let's do a Zoom interview talking about these draft prospects. And I was like, woo. I had to do a double take because it was early in the morning. I was, you know, I was like, that can't that's not Alan. And then I was like, oh, so I hit him back quick. I was like, let's do it. Let me know when. And then as the week went on or whatever, and I've dealt with this before because on the low, I've been, you know, doing a little bit of stuff for ESPN over the course of this draft process. And he told me, he was like, look, you know, I got to try to figure this out. We'll try to get you in, but ESPN might make me use their guys. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, I figured, right. And then I was like, cool, you know, keep me in the loop. Let me know. And then again, hit me up bright and early in the morning, like a couple of days later. He's like, you down to do it today at about 2:00? I was like, put it down, mark it in the books. Hey. I'm good. Let's do it. And he's a really good dude, man. Like, he was very down to earth. Like, I'm very appreciative that, you know, he did that. He didn't have to do that. You know, he's got the ESPN, he's got the MSG bag. Facts. He could have got pretty much anybody he wanted. But, you know, if there's one thing I've realized about most of, you know, the New York media and like this Knicks, you know, even from big to small, like it's a really tight knit community. Everybody kind of looks out for each other.
Yeah.
And I think it's dope, man. Cause, you know, I think that in an industry like this, it could get really competitive and everybody could be looking out for each other, but there's so much room for everybody on the internet to win that, like, the fact that everybody is, you know, lending, and doing cross-platform stuff, you know, it's dope because it doesn't have to be that way. So I was very appreciative. I was, you know, I didn't want to mess up. I needed to be on my game, you know, I was going back and watching my own videos again, trying to do some research, but it was cool. So yeah, it was an experience for sure.
Nah, definitely. You did a great job, man. You nailed it for sure. So definitely check out Corey on his YouTube channel. Yo, plug your joint real quick.
Yeah, it's Hardwood Herald. You know what's funny? I really should have chosen a different name because everybody thinks that my name is Harold for some reason. And I was trying to do like an old timey like newspaper thing, you know, like the Boston Herald and all that.
The Herald,
and I was like, I was like, Hardwood Herald, there's some alliteration. That's kind of cool. And then now everybody thinks that my name is Harold. And I was like, damn.
There's only one thing to do now is just legally change your name. That's it.
That's it. That's it. But yeah, Hardwood Herald. You know, I got all the draft stuff there. So if you want to look at you know, an in-depth Obi Toppin breakdown, that's the place to go.
Exactly. And we'll be getting to Obi Toppin. Trust me. We're gonna be getting to everything, man. A lot of news. A lot. But before we get into the Obi stuff, let's get into the things that we've missed in this free agency, because there's been a lot of let's get that. Oh, wait. Oh no, that passed us by. Oh, what about? Oh no, he signed. There's been a lot of that happening. Like the Knicks have been after Justin Holiday, Fred VanVleet, Bogdanovich, Jeff Teague, even heard remnants of Carmelo Anthony might come to the Knicks. We didn't get any of those guys. Yeah, crazy, right? No homecoming. But the thing that seemed like we were the closest to getting, even though it might not have been that close, was the Gordon Hayward. Right? We lose out to Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward wanted to go to the Indiana Pacers. He ends up signing with the Charlotte Hornets, 4 years, $120 million. What do you guys think of that deal? Do you feel bad that the Knicks missed out on it, Ryan and Corey? I know Corey doesn't feel bad about it.
Well, with Gordon Hayward, I kind of have mixed feelings about it because, you know, the coaching staff, the front office, they were preaching when, you know, they're not trying to, you know, like wait and like trust the process or whatever the case may be. You know, they're trying to win now. And I feel like Gordon Hayward would have been a step in the right direction, because even though Gordon Hayward was not a superstar player, you know, he's a very good player who could possibly drop like 20 points a game for you, and he provides veteran leadership that the team desperately misses. But the thing is that now, with the whole Hornets signing him to 4 years, 120 mil, you know, that means you're committing 4 years, 30 plus mil to a player that's over 30 years old. And you know, Hayward's coming off a major injury as well, so he's not really the same player he was before the injury. So from that standpoint, I'm like, I think the Knicks may have dodged a bullet, because I don't think I would have been comfortable with the Knicks giving him 4 years, 120 million just to make the team relevant again. And then on top of that, he's not a superstar player that's going to really put the Knicks over the top like that. So if it was a reasonable contract, like say, for example, you know, we gave him like maybe 2 years, option for a third, and then like, you know, like around maybe 90 mil or so, I would be like, okay, you know, like I could live with that. But to offer him the 4 years, 120 mil, nah. So I'm like, it is what it is, to me anyway.
Now, I agree with you, man. Corey, how do you feel about that deal as well?
As soon as I saw it, I was like, that can't be right. Like, not Gordon Hayward. You know, like, you know, I know like the De'Aaron Fox got like his max extension. I was like, I don't know, maybe Woj messed up in his tweets, and this is somebody else. 4 years, 120 million for Gordon Hayward is insane. Yeah. It's insane. It's the only way to say it. This dude hasn't been consistently healthy literally since he was in Utah. You know, his whole Celtics tenure was riddled by injury. Right. And you can make the argument that he looked really good, maybe was a borderline all-star before he got hurt again this year, but then he got hurt again. And borderline all-star is not all-star, right? You know what I mean? So if I'm paying $30 million a year for 4 years for a guy that, like you mentioned, he's going to be in his mid-30s by the time the contract is at its end. I mean, that's crazy. And then I look at some of the other contracts. Like, I'd rather give Gallinari $361 that he got from the Hawks. If you had to bump it up a little bit, like, I'd have rather gotten him and paid that money than spend, you know, the extra year and the extra money on Gordon Hayward. Like, I know that for the Knicks, Gallinari is not the cleanest fit now that you got Obi, because he's more of a four at this point of his career. But even still, just from like a value standpoint, I mean, I'd have rather thrown money at Joe Harris. You know, like, there's a lot of guys that I would have rather thrown money at than Hayward for the money he got. I thought Hayward was going to be like 480. Like, that's what I thought he was looking at. So to add another 40 mil on top of it, I think it's absurd. Now, I guess you can make the argument, like, who else is Charlotte going to get with that money? And, like, are they at the point of their rebuild where they're going to be adding another piece anyway? So maybe, you know, I could see the argument from Charlotte a little bit, but it's a crazy overpay. And if he continues to be injury riddled, like, that's an unmovable contract going forward. So I think it's the craziest deal of the offseason. And I know that the NBA owners are not struggling when they're throwing money around like this.
No, heck no.
True that.
Jordan got it. Like, right? Jordan got it.
I know.
Yeah.
The thing is, too, is like, this is a Hornets thing to do. Let's be real. Because do you know what they had to do to sign him? They had to stretch Nicholas Batum, who was on their books, and they pretty much replicated the exact same mistake they did a few years ago with Gordon Hayward. It's like, what's the definition of insanity? What's this?
Yeah.
Doing the same thing
over and over again, expecting a different result.
Exactly. So I give the Knicks credit. I give the Knicks credit for not doing the same thing over and over again. Like, listen, the thing about Leon Rose is, right, Leon Rose is what? He was an agent. So I feel like if anybody knows how much players are worth, it's going to be a former agent. So I don't think he's really going to overpay, really, especially considering we're in the New York market. It's like, we all know, though, we're going to have to overpay a little bit to get somebody. That's just the nature of the beast when you're not a good team. And that's why we lost out on a lot of these free agents. But, I mean, as soon as we get good again, hopefully we will, that will start to change and we'll be able to get some free agents in here at a reasonable price. Something like what's happening over there in Lakerland. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
But I get what you're saying. Kudos to Leon and those guys, because I feel like they didn't do the Knicks thing. They wanted to offer him 2 years. They ended up offering him 3. And they stuck to their guns. We lost out on Gordon Hayward. It is what it is. Que sera, sera. Listen, sneaky good signing for the New York Knicks that went under the radar, even my radar, until I really dug into it, was the Alec Burke sighting, man.
Yeah.
Alec Burke, journeyman, been around the league for 10 so years, had a career high, averaged 16 points a game, career high in the Golden State Warriors. Knicks needed a 3-point shooter. They end up signing Alec Burke for a 1-year deal, $5 million. Tell me what you think about the Alec Burke signing. How'd you feel about it now versus the time it happened? Go ahead, Ryan.
I'll put it like this. Like, when it first happened, I was kind of underwhelmed because I was like, I see all these players that I was targeting, you know, that we were targeting, you know, before free agency happened, and then we just saw like one by one, they just started to come off the board and stuff. So I was kind of so I was like looking at it at first, and I was kind of underwhelmed. But then when I actually looked into it, like you, and I saw 1 year, $5 million,
$6 million. I'm sorry.
Last season, he was with Golden State. He averaged career high 16.1 points per game. But what I really liked about Alec Burke's stats was that, like, when he got traded to Philly now, and he was surrounded with people that, you know, better players, like his stats, his scoring stats may have went down a bit, which is understandable when you're playing with other players who are better than your previous team. But at the same time, like, his efficiency went up. Because I think with Golden State, he shot under 40% from 3. Then with Philly, he shot over 40% from 3. And also his like overall shooting was better and everything like that. Like, he was a more efficient player. So
I get you too. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, Knicks need shooting. He provides that. So that's a positive. And I feel like I don't know if he's going to start or come off the bench. I mean, depending on how Thibodeau, you know, does his lineups or whatnot. But I feel like he's going to be a good player that can give the Knicks, you know, a solid like 13 to 16 points a game.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you listen to like the Golden State fans, because I did some digging, I listened to like a Golden State podcast, I listened to some 76ers podcasts. All of them kind of said the same thing. They were surprised that he was playing well for them. They thought they was getting something he got there and he ended up doing more than what they thought he was going to do. He kind of overperformed wherever we went. Even with Golden State, when you say, his percentages were down, but it seems like he had to step into the role and play a bigger role than usual.
Yeah, exactly.
And it felt like he rose to the occasion. Did you want to add anything to that, Corey?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic signing. I mean, his issue was never that he couldn't play, right? When he was a younger player, he couldn't stay healthy, and that's what it was. He always had talent. He was a guy that the Jazz kind of valued a little bit for a while, that they didn't want to give up as he was a younger player. So his thing was never that he couldn't play, and to get him for a 1 year $6 million deal, the value there is fantastic, especially when you see some of the other kind of contracts that have been handed out. And what I like is that I think you could trust it. That if this happened a few years ago, I would look at this and be like, okay, he's trying to get his Aaron Aflalo contract.
Right.
He's going to come in and just try to get buckets, try to average 20, and he'll be out in a year, and some small market team will give him a bag, and that's it. But with the infrastructure the Knicks have set up, he's a guy that now becomes a really valuable asset, because if you ask me, he won't make it to the end of the season with the Knicks. But I know that there are going to be contenders out there who are looking for depth, looking for some, an injury replacement, whatever it is. And a $6 million deal is easy money to move. That's easy money. So to me, he's a guy that you could turn into a future asset. And hey, if he figures to be a part of, the next few years for the Knicks because he played well and, drew chemistry or whatever, then that's great too. But Thibodeau's not going to let him just come in and do his own thing, and he'll come in and play team ball and play the way that the Knicks want to play. And I think he's going to look great. And at the end of the day, he's a valuable asset at that contract. So I thought it was a home run signing. It might not be a sexy signing, right? It's not the Fred VanVleet that everybody wanted, but it's one of those things where you're going to get an asset out of it, in my opinion. And it's not like Marcus Morris, where Marcus Morris came in, he was like, I'm going to get buckets. And then, the Knicks actually did a great job flipping him into a first round pick. So I think it could be the same kind of thing that happens. Might be a little harder because people value this draft a little more than they did this past one. But, either way, I thought it was great. I thought it was not sexy, but really, really solid.
No, absolutely. The Marcus Morris comparison is definitely a good thing to keep in mind, how we reflect him at the deadline. Because everybody needs these guys who can score. Everybody does. So everybody can use that. And what I like that was sneaky good about this signing is that he can do a little bit more than score just a little bit. He gives you just enough secondary creation from that wing spot, if you choose to play him as a wing, that it can make the second unit kind of passable, or any unit passable, where we're lacking a point guard. Because when you dig into the clean glass stats, he's in the 86th percentile from wing assists when he was in Golden State, and also when he was playing with the 76ers, he was playing some point guard. So he can play point guard in the pinch, and he can throw some lobs to Mitch, and he can throw some lobs to Nerlens Noel that we can talk about later. Now, he's not like a point guard in a sense where he's going to set up an offense, see the plays, 5 plays before it happens, but he's just such a scoring threat that when he goes to the hole, defense collapse, he can make the simple pass to the cutter and make a little bit things easier for the Knicks and his team, who might be lacking some point guard depth, at least as of today, because we have not signed anybody else but Elf Payton. But even digging in more to his stats, 69 percentile as an ISO score, 78 percentile as a post score, 38% down on catch and shoot. Analytics Twitter should love this guy, all right? Analytics Twitter hates Obi Toppin, but they should love this guy. Seriously, man.
Analytics Twitter needs to take a seat.
Please.
Advanced Stats Twitter, they need to take a seat, man.
They definitely do, man.
Advanced Stats Twitter. I went on a rant a few months ago about Advanced Stats Twitter because I mean, and it's eye test Twitter too. It's both. Like advanced stats Twitter and eye stats Twitter, like they both bug me. Like there has to be a middle ground, and they both take it to such an extreme.
Yes.
And sometimes I just want to I want to just throw my TV or my computer screen, my phone, whatever. It's like, I can't, because they're not rational people that you can talk hoops times. Like
they don't believe one. Like, you know what I figured it out? Corey? Twitter is advanced stats. Instagram is eye test. So rarely do those two agree. If you live in the Instagram world and you talk about Enes Kanter is a god when he was on the Knicks. If you go to advanced stats Twitter and talk about Enes Kanter, he's the worst NBA player to ever walk the face of the earth.
So what's TikTok? What's the TikTok version?
What's TikTok?
Where do we go to find
That's Theo Pinson Twitter.
Oh, Theo Pinson. Oh, damn. Oh, we got ourselves a professional cheerleader on the Knicks right now. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out Theo Pinson. I call him the dancer instructor who signed a 2-way deal to the Knicks. There's been a rumor going around that Myles Powell has been cut from the Knicks for Theo Pinson. No, it's not true. Myles he has a 10-day, Exhibit 10 contract. He has not been cut for the Knicks. Just to clear that up. PSA. All right. All right, cool. No, but just to circle back to Alec Burke for a minute, just to finish it off. There's one other reason why I feel like I like this signing, and I kind of like this signing because of RJ Barrett, man. Like, I feel like RJ can kind of learn something from the way he plays, like the way he runs pick and roll, the way he's a post scorer. You know, RJ is a post scorer as well, but he hasn't really been utilizing it over here as of yet. But Tom Thibodeau, he does like to have people playing the post. And Alec is a shooting guard who likes playing the post. And it's kind of a lost art for guards, but we happen to have two shooting guards in the NBA who like to post. And I kind of feel like this might be, in a weird way, a good mentor for RJ Barrett, since there's certain skill sets that kind of overlap that he can learn from firsthand and up close and personal. I'm feeling it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. My 2 cents on Alec Burke. And hopefully we get Bubble Burke back too, because Bubble Burke was crazy. 100% corner threes. Did you see how he went off in the bubble, man? 100% in corner threes? Come on, man.
Is that real? 100%?
Well. Yo, yes. Check it out. Clean the glass. He shot 100% from the corner three on cleaning the glass. Check that out right now, man. When he was in the 76ers uniform.
That's pretty good.
Pretty efficient.
Yeah. I'll take it.
You heard that, Tom Thibodeau? He hasn't shot like that all his whole career, except for when he went to the 76ers for that little 76ers stint. It's crazy. Love it.
That's what's up.
Tibbs will give him a shot. He let Keith Bogan stay on the floor shooting the corner threes, so he'll let Alec Burke shoot him.
Oh, you know this, man. You know Tibbs loves some veterans for sure. That's happening for sure, 100%.
Word.
But yo, moving on to another good Knicks signing that everybody agrees with. This is a signing where it's almost like too good to be true, because I haven't seen anybody complain on Twitter or Instagram, and that is rare. That never happens. Nerlens Noel signs for the New York Knicks, 1 year, $5 million. What do you think about that signing? Go ahead, Corey. I'll let you go first.
I think it's great. Again, it's another one of these 1 year, $5 million deals with a guy who played on a good team last year. So that he could fit in on any kind of contender. He's a guy that, he might replicate some of the skills that Mitch has, but Mitch has had trouble staying on the floor. So,
yes.
If you get a guy that you're not really going to lose anything when he's off the floor, and that's the way that you want to play defensively, that's big time, and because he's another guy that can go out, switch out on the perimeter, versatile. And then offensively, he's going to create gravity at the rim, being a lob threat. Obviously, he's not really going to do much more than that. We haven't seen a lot of Nerlens Noel videos between the legs shooting threes like Mitch this offseason, but you know, he's a guy that he knows. I think at this point he knows his role as an NBA player, and you know he's going to be productive. You know, like I'm sure we'll talk about Peyton in a minute, but you know, him and Elfrid Payton running pick and roll, like that's going to be a filthy play. I think, you know, getting those alley-oops to the rim. And again, like Alec Burks, he's a guy that if you needed to, you could trade him for an asset for sure. You know, especially bigs who defend, you know, they're going to be valuable in playoff situations. So I like it all around. I mean, it's short term, it's little money. I think, you know, I read some kind of article today that John Hollinger had like valued Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks, and Elfrid Payton's contracts as all they should be worth more than what the Knicks actually paid for them based on their production. So they're all value contracts based on what the Knicks gave them. And he's just another one in this, you know, in the group. So I like it a lot. And again, he's not a guy that's going to come in and be Marcus Morris and jack up 20 shots. That's not his role. He's just going to come in, clean fit, and do his thing.
Exactly. I definitely feel like I'm kind of surprised that he's only $5 million when he comes to the Knicks, especially considering he was playing in OKC with Chris Paul. Now, the Chris Paul effect happens. You know what happens with the Chris Paul effect? All your numbers go up.
Yeah.
All of them go up. Like remember the article, the story when he was talking about what was he talking about? Woody was talking about, hey Steve Novak, hey Steve, if you want to get paid, listen to me, I'll get you paid. Right? Steve Novak hits a career number of threes and he gets paid to get the next big contract. I feel like that same thing should have happened to Nerlens Noel. He shot like 99 percentile at the rim. I'm being a lob man for Chris Paul, and we pay him $5 million. It's kind of crazy.
It's good value. That's
Good
good value.
value.
Speaking of which, Steve Novak he'd get that Joe Harris, Davis Bertans bag nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
17 million for sure.
Novak, he was born like 10 years too early.
Facts. His age now if he played for the Knicks. Yo, come back, Novak. I know you like announcing and come back, Novak. I'm starting the hashtag. You're right. Anything else to add on this Nerlens Noel?
I think it was a solid signing. You know, 1 year, $5 million. He's a guy that he can, you know, rim run. You know, he can definitely play off a pick and roll, lob it up to him. He'll finish at the rim. He'll rebound the ball. You know, solid defender. And, you know, like Corey said, he got a similar skill set to Mitch. Mm-hmm. Mitch does have trouble, you know, staying on the court due to foul trouble. So, you know, Nerlens Noel's a solid backup that the Knicks can put into the game, you know, and play some minutes, you know, whenever Mitch, you know, wants to get foul happy. So, you know, right. I'm with the signing. I'm with it.
It's funny, too, because they both, Mitch and Noel, they tend to, you know, go for steals, reach in and stuff. So I can see them both being in foul trouble, which is interesting because they're almost like the same player. Like even if you look at the Nerlens Noel stats, he commits fouls at a high rate as well, and I'm pretty sure it's because he sticks his hands out there a lot. But the defense is incredible. I'm hoping it's going to be like a DeAndre Jordan effect, where DeAndre Jordan kind of helped mentor Mitch. And you saw him kind of take a step and, you know, rebound better and foul less once he was there. Hopefully it's a similar effect that kind of happens with Nerlens Noel, at least when it comes to the rotations. Because as of now, Mitch's rotations are still a little bit shaky, but he just kind of makes up for it because of his athleticism. So hopefully that helps bring him along and Mitch will get to that next level. And also, Mitch, shoot those threes, man. I want to see what happens. Let it fly. Let it fly. Let it fly. We need you, Mitch. Mitch, we need you to shoot threes. I know people want him to post. I get it. But the way our lineup is looking, we need some three-point shooters. Hard body, for real. For real. Like, dead serious. Because after we signed Nerlens Noel, we signed a point guard that was a little bit too familiar. We signed back Elfrid Payton, 1 year, $5 million. Knicks don't address the shooting at all. And it just seems like we're back to square one with the same problems that we had last year.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Like, I don't want to hog all the ranting. So I'm gonna share the wealth. Go ahead. Like, whoever.
All right. So
explain this to me, Ryan. I don't understand. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Elfrid Payton. I'll first say this. I'm not trying to trash Elfrid Payton.
This is what you say right before you trash somebody. Go ahead.
He's a solid point guard. It's just that I feel like last season he lost his point guard position to Frank. So I felt like as if the Knicks were moving on from Payton because once you lose your point guard position to a younger player, that's it.
Did he lose it, or was he injured? And
he was injured, but at the same time, it's like you came back and you didn't gain back your position. You still lost it. So I'm thinking, okay, the Knicks are going to move in another direction. Frank is going to still be here, obviously, because they view Frank as a good point guard. You still got DSJ. Okay, that's fine. There's going to be point guards available. Let's pick up a new point guard, especially a point guard that can shoot, that can uplift the team, and they just bring back Payton, and it's like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's really the point behind that? Like, what is it going to be? A point guard battle? Like, you just going to give Frank the position again and just be like, okay, you're going to run the starting point guard and Elfrid come off the bench? Like, I don't understand what the Knicks are really doing here. Maybe the Knicks saw that all the point guards that they wanted coming off the market, so they were just like, F it, we're going to sign Payton because we ain't got no choice. Like, I don't get it, but it is what it is. Another year, Elfrid Payton either backing up Frank or taking the starting point guard position. I don't even know what to say about this, man. Like, I'm lost. Honestly, I'm lost.
I'm reserving rant. You want to speak, Corey?
Yeah, from like a player perspective, like Elfrid Payton's not a bad player.
No,
like when it comes to just being an NBA player, right? It's just a tough fit because, like you said, the Knicks don't really have shooting. Now, I saw Etuan Moore went to the Suns for 1 year for like $2.5 million or something. Look, obviously it's on the player. Who knows if Etuan Moore would have been open to coming to New York for a little bit more money, but
right.
Just from a fit perspective, if you gave somebody like Etuan Moore the 1 year, $5 million instead, which is double what he's signing for in Phoenix, that fit is a little cleaner, like, because he's a guy that's going to shoot 37, 38, 39% from three. He doesn't have that same like pick and roll breakdown ability that Payton has, but
right.
But to me, like, he kind of fits better for the Knicks because you kind of want RJ to be creating a little bit more this year, right? Like, I want to see RJ with the ball in his hands a little more. So I would like to see a guy that you could just kind of be like, he could be a primary initiator, like, while he's not going to do crazy things, but he's going to allow RJ to be that primary initiator as well sometimes, and he can play off ball more. Like, Elfrid Payton can't really play off ball. He can't play off RJ.
No.
And I think for RJ to grow his game, like, that's what you kind of want. You want that guy. Like, I think you're going to see a lot of like 2-guard lineups with Alec Burks and RJ playing at the same time. And then you just got to figure out if they could guard point guards in that situation. But I think that's kind of what, what you want next to him. You want kind of like a 3-and-D with guard who can, also dribble a little bit, run pick and rolls here and there.
Absolutely, man. And it's like, dude, okay, I was all in. I'm thinking, all right, DJ Augustine is coming. I feel like that was a tie, right? DJ Augustine can shoot threes, play pick and roll, 30th percentile and pick and roll. Tom Thibodeau guy, they got history, done deal. Goes to the Bucks. I get it. It's the Bucks.
Yeah.
It's a chance to win. 3 years, 21 million. I get it. We lose him out. Fine. Hey, Langston Galloway? Something.
History.
I mean, he shoots better.
He shoots 39% last
better.
year. He plays defense. we run a little bit more through RJ. We share the point guard duties. The thing is, we know this doesn't work. That's why I'm mad.
Yeah.
Nothing against Elfrid Payton. I don't hate Elfrid Payton like other Knicks fans do. I do not. Matter of fact, and I'm telling myself, at a point, I want Elfrid Payton here. But at the same time, I felt like there was a time where I felt like the 3-point shooting for Elfrid Payton was going up. Maybe the defense, maybe his injury had something to do with his 3-point shooting taking a nosedive. But I recognize the fact that he was a point guard who can pass, play defense, and play pick and roll. But what's happened when he's gotten here was he just passes it to Julius Randle every damn time. They ignore RJ. He can't shoot, and it just isn't a good fit. So I need a shooter here by any means necessary. I'm tired of Elfrid Payton. The worst thing about this deal is he has a no trade clause because of the CBA rules are funky, a la Ron Baker. So we can't even trade the man.
Boy.
We can't even trade the man. We can't even trade the man. So we're locked in for the year.
All I'm saying is I'm looking at Frank Ntilikina. I'm like, dog, step up your game this season because I want to see maybe 10 minutes out of Elfrid Payton per game. And just please, something got to happen, yo.
Bro,
like,
I'm looking at DSJ like anybody. Help me.
Word.
Anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say though, look, I'm not like completely out on Dennis Smith Jr. I would give him a chance to kind of prove himself because Tibbs has a pretty good history with point guards like him.
He does.
Like Tibbs has turned guys. I mean, John Lucas III was ISOing LeBron in big games on national TV, and it was working. So, like, you know, I'll give Dennis Smith Jr. the chance because I've seen Tibbs do it before, but still, he's also not a knockdown shooter. So I mean, it's got to happen from somewhere. I think Leon. It's not like, you know, him and the front office, the coaching staff are stupid. Like they know that they have this problem, but I think they're being smart. Like they're also not trying to do anything crazy. That's going to like rush the process and hurt it long term. So, you know, I think it's a wait and see thing. Like it's not ideal. It's not ideal in the moment right now, but I want to see what the long term vision is because I feel like Leon has been doing work over the last week or so. Like I feel like he's been putting work in, even though it's not splashy.
I agree.
And look, you got Immanuel Quickley. You got Quickley.
We do have Quickley. We
you know, like that dude is going to knock down shots, and he's a point guard size. So if you could put him, you know, like the guard I was trying to talk about with RJ, like RJ could play point guard with Quickley on the floor, but Quickley could guard the point guard. So like that's a situation that like he might be a dude who plays a lot this year.
Right.
You know, he'll make his rookie mistakes and whatnot, but like at least he won't be a point guard. But if RJ has that ability that he showed at Duke in him to kind of create a little bit off the bounce for other people, I think, you know, he could be a guy that might see major minutes in like this whole like Dennis Smith Jr., Frank, Elfrid Payton conversation. It might be like you look back and be like, what were we worrying about? Because we got, you know, we got this dude who's a 40% shooter, 90% at the line that's going to play major minutes. So I don't know. I would wait and see.
You know what? Screw the timeline and outline. Let's get to it. Immanuel Quickley, right? Let's get to it. I'm all about the flow of conversation, right? Immanuel Quickley. I love the guy. Not the ideal point guard because he is not a guy who is going to pick and roll you. He's not the guy who's the best passer. He's not going to set up your team. Matter of fact, that's probably his biggest weakness. But if you buy that RJ can develop into a playmaker, you know, from that wing spot.
Oh wait, something just came in.
We got breaking news, by the way.
Yeah, Austin Rivers is about to sign with the Knicks. There's our point guard. There's our point guard.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Hold on. Austin Rivers is coming to the New York Knicks. I'm going to pause this conversation right here. Because this is recorded, it's not live.
Word.
I'm going to pause it right now. Take a look. We're cutting it right back after these messages. All right, we are back. We have collected it ourselves. Austin Rivers is now a New York Knick. And perfect timing, too. We're in the middle talking about point guards and possibilities, right? Austin Rivers is the New York Knicks. 1 year deal, We don't know the amount yet. Conceivably, it's probably going to be around 5 or 6 million because that has been the pattern so far with Leon Rose and these guys. First thoughts about Austin Rivers becoming a New York Knick.
I mean, from his time in Houston, he's a solid backup point guard. You know, he's not a great shooter, but he can shoot the ball a little bit. Good handle. You know, he's a bit crafty with the rock. I mean, I don't really have like any general idea. I mean, I don't really have like a general feeling about it, but I do know that now the Knicks do have a logjam at point guard because the Knicks have pretty much, I think, 4 or 5 point guards right now, and it's just making you wonder because you look at the front court now. The front court is kind of loaded as well.
Mm-hmm.
You got Ed Davis, Noel, Mitch, Randall, and am I missing somebody? And now Toppin too, the rookie that's coming in.
Right.
And now the backcourt is filled up because you got DSJ, you got Frank, you got Payton, you got Austin Rivers, you got Quickley. So you have guys now where it's like it's making me wonder if Leon Rose is planning something to make a trade or something to like bring in somebody good. So it's a wait and see. But my initial feeling is just like.
Oh, that's happening. That is happening. Somebody is gone. Kind of talked about it behind the scenes. No trade clause for Elfrid Payton. He's staying. Point blank period.
Unfortunately.
Anything to add to that, Corey?
I gotta say, I just started thinking about it. It seems like a pattern. It's another guy who has been playing on contenders. And it's another guy that you look at and like Ed Davis, Noel, Austin Rivers. I mean, all of these guys are Alec Burks. They're all trade assets that contenders are going to be looking for. And I'm looking at it from an outside perspective and saying Leon Rose is going to be getting a ton of assets at the deadline, before the deadline, whatever, for when guys start going down. And this is going to be a weird year. The season's going to be condensed. You know, who knows what's going to happen with guys with everything playing out.
Right.
Guys might get hurt. You know, these are going to be guys that I think I wouldn't get too attached to. And I think he's just looking at them as these are going to be pieces that we could flip down the line. And it's not like they're signing the long-term deals. So they're buying property in New York or New Jersey or whatever, Westchester, to settle down with a family. They're signing 1-year deals. They know what's up. They know that, like, you know what? I signed this deal. I could boost my value a little bit, and maybe I could. So either I'm going to get a bigger contract next year, or they'll trade me. And if they trade me, it's probably going to be to a contender because it's not like, you know, some team at the that's going to be in the lottery mix is going to be like, you know what? Maybe we can get Austin Rivers on the cheap and build with him going forward. They're going to be, you know, flipped to contenders. So they all know I look at it as an asset and regardless of fit. And like you said, there's definitely going to be guys that have to be on the move just because there's a log jam. But from an asset perspective, I think Leon knows what he's doing. He's getting ready just to load up. He's going to be firing these guys off with the trade deadline. And, you know, whether some of them go for like a late first, second, whatever it is, I think the Knicks are going to have some assets going forward.
Keep an eye on the cap too, man, because I saw JB. I call JB the capologist. He's like the Knicks Twitter capologist. Like I saw him kind of say something interesting when he was talking about when the Knicks can actually use the entire cap. He was kind of saying that we can kind of wait to fill out that cap into further in the season. So if you consider that, we can combine both theories and think, okay, you know what? We can conceivably combine all these 1-year assets, move them for picks, find a disgruntled star, take those picks we got from those assets, package it with something else, and then get a disgruntled star in the middle of the season. That could be the play.
Yeah, and also I want to add something to what Corey said, because it's similar to the situation with Marcus Morris last season, because Marcus Morris was with us for 1 year, signed to around, what was it, like 15 mil, I believe? 10, 15 mil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he played like pretty much, you know, lights out first half of the season. proved himself. Then he went to a contender. Now Marcus Morris ended up with a bigger contract with the Clippers, multiple years and good money. And it's pretty much the same with these assets as well. So it seems like at the moment, like Corey said, it does seem like Leon Rose is just trying to stack assets at the moment. And we'll see what happens with those assets in the future, if the Knicks will be able to flip them for somebody really good or draft the right players, whatever their plan may be.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Exciting stuff. Here I'm thinking we're going to try to trade for Lonzo Ball. or try to get Kira Lewis. But that's a long shot. I was joking. I already know that's a long shot. Another reason why I like Corey, because I was Team Kira. Y'all thought I was Team Kira? No. No. Corey is the president, CEO, vice president, top 5 Dylon fan of Kira Lewis for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. I was riding I don't think anybody had him higher on their board than I did.
Exactly.
Top 5. He was top 5 on my board.
Exactly.
He was top 5 on my board. I think it's crazy he went as low as he did.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. I think it's a good fit for him. But crazy he went where he did.
Yeah, it makes me sick. For sure. It makes me sick. Makes me sick that he went to the Pelicans just gonna be throwing alley-oops to Zion all willy-nilly. It makes me sick to my stomach. I'm still not over it. Especially because we're signing Austin Rivers.
Imagine him coming off those screens with. He's gonna be coming off screens with Steven Adams and Zion. He doesn't even need to put on weight. Those dudes they just go body. Yeah. They're just bodying dudes off the screens.
Yeah, Steve Adams is gonna lay people unconscious with this.
Yup.
You don't be doing the slip screens like Mitch be doing. No, he sets a screen.
Yeah.
You gotta say it twice. Yeah. Screen. Oh man. Speaking of drafts and missing point guards. No, you know what? I don't even want to start the conversation like that because I'm actually happy with the Knicks drafting Obi Toppin, even though analytics Twitter hates his guts. I love it. Like, how's not to love, man? Did you see his teary-eyed acceptance speech? When he's like, I'm from New York, man.
It's touching.
Yeah, it's something in our street. He's like, it's fun to play for the team that you grew up watching. I bleed orange and blue. I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said that.
Yeah.
like this man played ball in Rucker Park, man. West 4th, man.
Yep. The cage.
The cage. He was in the cage. This man is New York, and just the way he reps, I'm glad we have him. Because now we really have two guys who rep. Like RJ reps. There's a picture of RJ with the hat low when he was a kid. And they got Obi Toppin rocking the Spreewell jersey with the black stripes on the side. It's like, yes, rep. Don't trade those guys or I'm coming after you, Leon. But, man, let's get into the Obi Toppin. Corey, this is you. Tell us. Tell us, what do you think about the Obi Toppin signing?
I loved it. To me, it was an absolute no-brainer. Like I know that, as the two guys riding for Kira Lewis Jr. harder than anybody,
right.
Passing up on him is tough. But like Obi Toppin's a lock to be a very good player.
Yeah.
Like he is a lock. And analytics Twitter, I get it. They probably didn't watch him play at all. They saw a couple of highlights of him getting cooked on the perimeter on defense or whatever, and they made their assumptions. But this dude, he can straight up get buckets, like, and in like a modern way. And he's not just a guy who can get buckets. Like he is from the power forward position. Like he's everything you want out of the modern day power forward. He's a guy that can stretch the floor. Like he's going to shoot it at a good clip. He's got good, clean form. He shot it over 40% in college, which, granted, it was on low volume. So I wouldn't expect him to come in and be a 40% shooter right away. But he's definitely going to be a guy who ends up at like 37, 38% on good volume from 3, in my opinion. Then lob threat. The Knicks got a million lob threats. They might have the most dunks in the league this year. Like that, everybody in that front court is just dunking the ball, just putting it in. So he's going to shoot a really high percentage at the rim. And then to me, his most underrated skill, and maybe this is a good thing considering the point guard situation, he's like a filthy passer.
Yes.
Like he has legitimately good vision, and especially in the short roll, which is like one of the most important passes, or the most important pass your big can make now. You know, no longer is it the kick out of the post up. Now it's that little short roll pass, hit the weak side corner. He'll hit that every single time. The Knicks need some shooters to hit the shots after he makes the pass, but he'll hit that every single time. Now, you know, obviously, you know, if all of this was true, why did he go 8 in the draft, right? The defensive concerns are real. It's not like they should be ignored. But what I loved about his fit with New York specifically, like if he had gone to Cleveland, I would have liked the fit a lot less. But with his fit in New York specifically, and especially now with the Noel signing, he is always going to be on the floor for the most part with a guy who could make up for his defensive mistakes. And to me, like you're going to get him out on the perimeter, and you're going to have a guard who's trying to cook him in isolation and you know, shoot jumpers over him. Like, congratulations. Like, if you hit the shot, like, good on you. Like, that's what you want to give up, right? You want it, because if they beat him to the rim, well, guess what? You got a shot blocker waiting now.
Facts.
So that's why I absolutely loved his fit. And, you know, and like I said, that he could stretch it out so he could play with them too. And then, you know, I'm sure he'll get some small ball 5 minutes as well. And, you know, he's not going to be able to go out and switch out on the perimeter for 20 minutes a game. But if he could do that 8-9 minutes a game, protect the rim, get some blocks, you know, he'll do that. He's got bounce like that.
Right.
So I think his fit with New York is fantastic. He'll run pick and roll with Mitch. You know, one day we'll have a clearer picture on what the point guard situation is.
Yes.
Eventually, it doesn't have to be now. And I don't care about his age. He's 22 years old. Like, who cares? He's still crazy young, but he's a guy that's going to come in and be good right away. And especially with this season, where the season starts next month, the training camp is starting soon, right? There's not really like an off season to get acclimated with your team, and then they're just going to go. So he's going to be ready because he's going to be physically ready. He's been training in New York with Brickley, so you know he's been going at it with pros already. So
exactly.
Like, I think he's going to have an easier time adjusting. And then, you know, if the schedule gets weird where they start doing like the regional thing where they try to do like more back-to-backs or whatever, like I don't know if they said that, if that was a rumor, if they're actually doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy as a rookie to not be on the scouting report and go off in a game, and then you move on to the next team and you're still not on the scouting report. But if you're doing back-to-backs now where it's almost like a little playoff situation, he's going to be a guy that, like, all right, in that second game, I could still get to my offense even if I'm on the scouting report a little bit because I got counters offensively. So I love it. I love the fit. He's not a perfect prospect, and that's why he didn't go number 1. But he's the National Player of the Year in college. He's a guy that he's passionate about being a Knick. And I think that means something. You know, I know the last guy who like came here before, you know, this new group, when Amari came in and he wanted to reset he's like a new age Amari almost, you know. Absolutely. He's got that same passion, same type of game. And look, not every prospect is going to be a perfect two-way player. You got to look at what the players can do. And I'll tell you, if Tibbs can get the most out of Carlos Boozer and have the Bulls contending with Carlos Boozer playing 30 minutes a game, he can get the most out of Obi Toppin.
Facts. Boozer,
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Oh man.
Man,
look,
yo,
Boozer
shout
was
to
good,
Twitter,
but
let
like,
me know some. Do you know who else was 22 when they was drafted?
Who else?
The captain, Patrick Ewing. Are you telling me you would have booed Patrick Ewing because he was 22? Come on, son. You're not a New Yorker. Even though that was a way different time though. That's sacrilegious. 22 is not an excuse at all to not like this pick. There's everything to like about this pick. And like you said, I liked how you said you can envision running pick and roll with Toppin and Mitch, because I was thinking the exact same thing. Because we know Tom Thibodeau, what he did with Joe King, use him as a passer at that foul line spot. Like, I can envision him doing the same thing with Obi Toppin, because we already know big men who can pass can open things up for everybody, especially if you plan on using him as a small ball 5 at some points. Think about what Jokic is doing. I'm not saying he's a Jokic level passer, but it kind of minimizes the lack of shooting sometime, and a guard who can get to the bucket, it benefits them that much better if you use him as a small ball 5 at certain points. So I definitely love that angle of Obi Toppin. And you talked about the passing, how good the passing is when he's rolling. He can also pass in the post too. So, like, he needs to get a little bit stronger. Don't get me wrong. Like, he needs to not skip leg day. And he can dunk, but he needs to get a little bit stronger so he can so he can back down these bigger guys. Huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Corey?
No, yeah, you're right. He needs to. His legs are scrawny. He's got some scrawny legs. He needs to get in the gym, squats, get his weight up, and that way he could put. But he's got he's got wide shoulders, big broad shoulders. Like, if he dips his shoulder into you, like, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah,
like, he'll move you. He might get a couple of offensive fouls that way, but like, you're gonna feel it if he takes that shoulder into your chest. But yeah, it won't hurt. It won't hurt to get a little stronger down low. That won't hurt.
Exactly. Like, the thing is, too, the cons that he has, I feel like we have the perfect staff to kind of work on them. Like, for one, he seems very willing to put in the work. He put into work to get here. He wasn't even supposed to be in the NBA, according to him. He was expecting his ceiling to be an overseas guy. You know what I'm saying? He just started to learn to dunk in his senior year in high school. You know, Dayton was under the radar. No one expected Dayton to go anywhere. All of a sudden, they're like only lose 2 games in the season. So this guy, he's been beating the odds. I love this pick. I think there's a lot to grow from here. We had the perfect development staff to work on his defense. He has to work on his stance because his stance is a little weird. I've seen some videos of that. He looks like he's squatting like a barbell when he's in his offensive stance, and not like, shoulder width apart with your body tilted forward. It's weird, but it's things that are fixable. I think he's absolutely gonna be fag. Even though I want Akira, I'm with it. Obi Toppin. Win now pick. Hopefully we can actually win though, because it might be a blood math. Anything else to add about Immanuel Quickley? I know you touched on Immanuel Quickley earlier. 3-point sniper.
I think Quickley was a great pick. I know some people thought that it was a little bit early. First, I just want to say, I want to shout out Leon Rose for how he handled that part of the draft. The Knicks went in with the 27.
Oh, yes.
And the 38. What was it? 27 and 38.
Mm-hmm.
Trade it for the 23. And then trade back for 25 and 33.
Right.
So he went with the same. He ended up getting 2 picks that were higher than originally the Knicks were supposed to pick, just by maneuvering on draft night. That was excellent maneuvering by Leon Rose. So, and you knew that with that pick, that one of those picks was going to end up being a Kentucky guy. Like, that was a given. That was an absolute given. So it wasn't shocking. I thought that Tyrese Maxey had a shot when he started making it, and I thought, okay, if he drops, that's going to be the pick. But once it was Quickley, look, he's a guy, he fits perfectly into the modern NBA. I mean, we talked about Joe Harris and Bertans getting, contracts close to $80 million because of their shooting ability. He's a guy in college that shot over 40% and 90% at the line. And like, there's a lot of guys who could shoot 40% from 3 who are shooting, catch and shoot, just standing in the corner. This dude was running all over the place. It's not like he was just planted in the corner. He's coming off floppy sets, like running off screens, doing all that stuff that you see guys like JJ Redick do. So like, he is a versatile shooter. He is not just, let's put him in the corner. And then you really got a strap on you when you also shoot 90% at the line. That's when your shot is pure.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like, that's when it's pure. So he is a legit shooter. And look, we've seen with Kentucky guards that they don't always get to show all of what they're capable of in college. We've seen it with Book, with Tyler Hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these guys, they come in and into the NBA, they're allowed to do a little bit more. And look, I don't know if Quickley's got all that. It's not like he can't dribble. You know,
Right.
it's not like he's incapable of it. He just didn't really get a chance to. Ashton Hagans, who, you know, my apologies to Ashton Hagans. I really didn't like watching him play last year. I thought he took the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hand and Immanuel Quickley's hand. He could defend, so, you know, good on him. But I didn't like him as a point guard. I would have liked to see the ball more in Quickley's hand, in Maxey's hand, just to see what they could do with it. But, you know, John Calipari's trying to win games. He's not trying to, you know, appease me and how I'm viewing prospects towards the NBA. So,
Right.
you know, I get it. But I loved it. I loved it just from, and especially if you look at this roster this year, he might just get minutes based on the fact that he's the best shooter on the team, you know, already.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, and he's 6'3", like he's a little short for a shooting guard, but he's one of those guys that has a crazy wingspan. So it's not like his size is really going to affect him, because, you know, you're not playing basketball with just your neck, you know, and as a guard,
Yeah, I feel you.
it's the wingspan helps, because it's who are you going to defend. And if you got a 6'8" wingspan, then you can defend twos just as easily, and maybe some threes in certain situations. So I think he's going to be a really good player. And I think the Knicks coaching staff, development staff that they got, I think they're going to do work with him.
Yeah, man. He's looking like a defensive Malik Monk, kind of, you know? Like, the defense, like you said, the on-ball defense is great. It's not even just about his length. When I was looking at him, even his body position is always spot on. He jumps up straight up without fouling a lot. He's always active. He has to work on the off-ball defense a lot, though. That's something to work on. But defensively, he gives you a lot on ball. Very happy with that. And seems to really know the game. When looking at him, it was just like, all right, cool. He seems to know where to go to get open. Like he floats to the open spot on the 3-point line very easily. And it seems like he's a student of the game. I listened to another pod talking about him too, and it was talking about his Kawhi Leonard-like work ethic. So you also gotta like somebody who mentions his name with Kawhi Leonard. You know, compliment, small
It's not a
compliment.
bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Exactly. A lot to like with this guy, man. Best shooter on the team for real could be. I don't know, anything to add about that, Ryan?
Well,
We cover everything.
The one thing I'm gonna add is that he was the SEC Player of the Year as well. He had a really hot second half of the season with Kentucky, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody said, it's a good pick for the Knicks. He's a shooter, he can stretch the floor. Knicks need shooting. I do like the fact that he's a versatile shooter. He can shoot the ball in several ways, whether it's catch and shoot, run off screens, or whatever the case may be. The Knicks were sorely missing that in the last season. And overall, I like the pick. Like, Knicks addressed one of the weaknesses on their team, shooting. He fits that role. So overall, I'm happy with the pick.
Yeah, and also I like the fact that he can draw fouls too. Like he's a crafty foul drawer. Man. Hits you with the pump fake and the swipe through. He's one of those guys where if he was not on my team, I'd be pissed. Because he looks like James Harden with the little swipe through stuff. Like, I can see people being really mad. But I don't care because he's on our team doing it. Oh, man. And you know what? Corey kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. We ended up getting like a 33rd pick later on in that draft. But we ended up trading it for a future second round pick. In the double draft, I believe, 2023?
Yeah, I believe, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. People were pissed. Rightfully so. Maybe. I personally wanted Malachi Flynn. I think that was the guy. I was going Malachi Flynn, maybe Tyrell Terry to short the point guard position. But I feel like the Knicks, they wanted to open up a roster spot because Leon Rose had all these magic moves he had in mind to weaponize the cap and get picks. And so, but in the end, they ended up getting the undrafted rookie Myles Powell. So they end up getting a point guard anyway, but getting him without having to put him on the books officially and not having to give up a roster spot. Because I know people were kind of thinking, what's the point of that? Knicks were looking at their roster spot. They just want to clear roster spots to do all their little funky moves, like allegedly get JaVale McGee here for another second round pick, which is in the works. Who knows if that's going to happen by the time the show is over. So, what do you guys think about this combo guard, Myles Powell? We know we need shooting. It seems like he can shoot. At least
he's gonna get buckets in the G League.
Yeah.
He's gonna get buckets in the G League. He's gonna be in Westchester, I think, a lot of the year. My thing with him, he's tough because he's got he can get buckets, right? He's got a little bit of Deion Waiters in him though. He needs to be the bucket getter. He's one of those guys, he spent the last 4 years at Seton Hall being, a top option on the team, and definitely the last few years where he's able to create, he's hitting shots off the bounce, or he's just getting them up off the bounce. And now he's got to come into a situation where that can't be his role. He's got to be able to play off of other guys that are going to have that role. And that's the hardest part for guards like him who get drafted or sign with a team after the draft if they don't get drafted. What is their role going to be in the NBA? Because it could go two ways. It could be they learn how to kind of reel themselves in and just take what comes to them, in which case you can make a serious career as a gunner off the bench. Or are they still falling into habits of the way that they played when they were the man, in which case now you're really just hurting the team because you're taking the ball away from your better players. So I think that the backcourt right now is just way too full for him to get any minutes right now in a game. So I think he's going to start out in the G League. And I think that and even there, he might be one of the top options. So it's going to be hard, but it's just really about getting the speed of the increasing the speed of the game for him. He's got to learn how to just play within himself. And it's not to say that he can't do that. It's just for players like him who are guys who get buckets. And I mean, he's a guy, he shot less than 40% from the field in college as a senior.
Right.
He is not afraid to let it fly in any situation, but he's a tough shot maker. He's a tough shot taker, tough shot maker. So it's one of those things where it could really go either way. If he learns to reel himself in and he could shoot 45% from the field, 36% from three, and he's able to get you a bucket off the bench as a sixth or seventh man, that's some real value on the contract that he'll have. But otherwise, he's just going to be a guy that quickly fades out of the league. Maybe he bounces to another team, ends up in the G League for a while, then ends up in the Euro League or something. That to me, those are the two ways that he can go.
I thought I was an Immanuel Quickley punter real quick. You kind of slid under there. But maybe that's subconscious. Ryan, I know you covered him in his junior year when you was writing about him. Any thoughts on our guy, Myles Powell?
I actually like Myles Powell. I definitely got to see him up close in the Big East tournament. Last year's Big East tournament, and he pretty much tore that tournament apart. He was averaging 26 points per game. He even dropped a record 29 first half points against Georgetown in the Big East tournament. I honestly thought he was going to leave after his junior season because his junior season was his best season, and I felt like he was on fire that season too. So I thought that he was going to enter the draft last year, but he didn't. He came back for his senior season. But he's definitely a scorer. Like Corey said, he's a tough shot maker. He takes a lot of bad shots, but he definitely can make them. And I think the one part of his game that's sneaky is the fact that he's also a decent passer, as in I saw him play a lot, and he'll penetrate and he'll kick it out to open shooters and things like that. So it's he has that part to his game as well. Now, I
saw some nifty passes. He did some crazy behind the back no look stuff.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's really far in between. He doesn't really do that often. So.
No, he doesn't do it often. I mean, he only averages maybe 3 assists a game in college. But I mean, but it's a part of him though. Especially when I watched him in last year's Big East tournament, he did find shooters, on the perimeter and things like that when he penetrated into the lane. And the Knicks backcourt is full at the moment, so it's hard to see him getting any type of playing time whatsoever. You know, but me personally, I'm rooted for the guy. Like, I want to see him do well in the league. You know what I mean? Whether it's with the Knicks or whether it's with another team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a tri-state dude. He's from New Jersey, so I'm cheering for him. I'm cheering for him from that aspect. But actually seeing a future on the Knicks, that I'm not sure of what, you know, the amount of point guards the Knicks already have and whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. He's gonna have to beat up Jared Harper too. Jared Harper was here chopping at the bits. Also on a 2-way deal. So we'll see how that works out. I like Myles Powell as well from what I've seen of him anyway. But it's going to be uphill battle. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned.
Yep.
All right. Corey, you might not know this. But now, this is one of the favorite parts of the show. And it's called the Bruh Picks. Now, Bruh Picks on the show are usually the stupidest, dumbest plays of the week. There has been no basketball, though, so there's no plays. So usually what we do is there's something stupid that happened that you want to point out. You can talk about it, get it off your chest. Well, hit the little sound effect bruh button.
Oh, man. I wish I had
now.
prepared for this.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I sprung this on you. I don't know if Ryan, do you have anything?
Me personally?
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I only have one bro pick.
Okay, go ahead.
And this is from college football. It was the game it was Army versus Tulane. And what was funny about this game was that Army was receiving the kickoff from Tulane. So they received the kickoff, they started running back, and they wanted to be fancy about it. So, you know, sometimes off of a kickoff return, a punt return, you know, sometimes, especially in college, sometimes teams will do like a backward lateral on the kick return or the punt return to try to like shift the field on the defense and then hopefully, you know, get some yards. So that's exactly what Army tried to do against Tulane. But the funny thing is that one of the Tulane players he saw that all the way.
All right. Long career, I guess. Or maybe not so long. Where you got going on a long touchdown. All right. That's how it's done. Let me see. Do I have any bro picks, though? I might give one to Stephen A, man, because he ignored the hell out of me.
Oh, you just reminded me.
Do you want to go?
Max Kellerman.
Oh, go ahead.
He gets a bro pick as well because. Bruh. So earlier this week on First Take, they asked the question about, you know, I think it had to do with like the future of the Knicks. Like, do you like the pick of Obi Toppin and this and that and blah blah blah? And of course, Max Kellerman is doing his usual hating as what, you know, as
he
always.
Fronts like a Knicks fan so hard. It's
I know. I'm
stop telling that damn lie already, though. Like,
for real, like
I'm not beating out a Knicks fan.
Like the stuff that was coming out of this guy's mouth, like it was irking my nerve. I was like, honestly, I was like, yo, get him. I was like, yo, get him off. And gladly enough, Stephen A. Smith came on afterwards and basically just ran him off the show. It was like, yo, like, why are you even in New York City? Like, yo, can someone move him out of New York City? Because like this guy, he's a traitor. Like, it's crazy. Even when the Knicks do something positive, he always brings it back to a negative, and that's what I can't stand about Max sometimes. It kills me.
I don't watch First Take. I just depend on Ryan to tell me all the bull that's happening because they get on my nerves right this point. I just see the clips on the Twitter timeline, and I take my keys from that. It's like this is why I stopped watching.
But you're smart because that's what they're trying to do. You get mad at them, they're winning. That's how they win. They want you to get mad at them. They're trying to just talk. They don't even know what they're saying half the time.
Do you want them to win, Ryan?
If I want who to win, the Knicks?
Not the Knicks First Take? Of course you want the Knicks to win. What kind of question is that?
Oh, if I want First Take to win.
yes, First Take.
It's highly entertaining to me. That's why I watch it. And I mean, hey, at least Stephen A, even though Stephen A going on his rants as well, at least Stephen A Knicks fan. And any type of positive that the Knicks do, Stephen A is quick to acknowledge it. But Max, I just can't stand that dude, yo. Like whenever it's time for whenever it's Max's turn to talk about the Knicks, that's when I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather just mute this rather than actually listen to what he has to say because I already know it's going to piss me off. So,
what? You know what? I'm here. You know what? I'm gonna leave Stephen A alone. Here's my bro pick. My bro pick is right for all the people who got all the Knicks for getting all these power forwards and stuff, but they're ignoring what's going on in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell? Where's the ESPN coverage in that? I ain't see Stephen A. Smith going off about the power forwards there. I ain't see nobody mention it. But you always want to talk about the New York Knicks. I don't get it. Who's gonna run the point? Jeremy Grant? Come on, son.
Yeah. Who the Pistons signed? They signed Jeremy Grant. They signed Mason Plumlee, and they signed another big man too. I think on top of that.
Exactly. And then I saw some other guy in the media. He was talking smack about the Knicks, about Knicks go to Knicks. They signed another power forward. And he starts naming people on the Knicks. And he's like naming guys that are not even on the team anymore. I'm like, dude, whose man's is this? You don't even pay attention to my team. Don't criticize my team. And you don't know who was on my team. Talk about we have power forwards, but you naming people who's not on the team no more. Stop it.
Exactly.
Bro, pick you,
Bruh.
I'm done. Corey, you don't have to participate in this if you don't want to.
I got one. No, I got.
All right. Let's go.
I think I got two. I'll do the first, the quick one. I'm gonna give it to my man Michael Jordan for signing Gordon Hayward to that albatross contract.
Bruh.
So that's one. But two, and look, I'm not trying to make anything political. But it was a political commentator who was trying to make a point.
We get
and they were saying they were talking about how the lawyers of somebody were lining up like the Spartans in 300, and they were going to be taking their chance, you know, like that the Spartans were going to win. They're like, I'll take my chances with the Spartans, not the other guys.
My God.
And they definitely didn't watch that movie all the way through, because the Spartans do not win. And they thought they were making a crazy good point. So like, if you are going to make a point, you got to watch the movie all the way through, because they got dunked on hard for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Corey, all they remember is the slow motion. This is Sparta.
That's it.
Boom. And they kick down the hole. They stopped watching the movie after that.
They stopped. That was it. It didn't end well. It was a good movie, but it did not end well for them.
And guess what? Didn't end well for these lawyers either.
Bruh.
No, it did not.
Shout out to Pennsylvania. If you don't get the joke, then you wasn't meant to get it. All right. 800,000. All right. That is our show. Glad to have you, Corey. Had mad fun. You can come kick with us anytime. You coolest Bull fan I know.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. I had fun too.
Oh man. Yeah, we like to keep it like here. All right, cool. So yeah, we wrapping it up, man. You can definitely find us on Twitter, right? At the KOT Show. You can also find our blogs on thenickoftimeshow.com. You can also get some merch from there if you want to. Corey got some merch too. Corey has he has like a little PDFs he sent. He had the magazines that sold out. That breaks down all the prospects. But he also has some PDFs you can download for $1 that breaks down all the prospects for you guys. So definitely check that out. Mm-hmm. You can also find us on Facebook too, at Nick Time Show. You can find me on Instagram, JLS Drawstings. That's JELELLIS, Drawstings. Corey, plug whatever you want.
You can follow me on Twitter at Hardwood Herald. You can find my YouTube, Hardwood Herald there, hardwoodherald.com. That's where you'll find that aforementioned PDF. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it. You can find me on the internet. I'm on TikTok, kinda. kind of. I don't post there regularly, but you can even find me there if you want.
You have to teach me. You might have to teach me how to TikTok. I don't know how to TikTok.
You know, if you're a youngin, you can find me there. But just search Hardwood Herald and you'll find me. You'll find me wherever you want to find me.
I might have to. All right. What about you, Ryan? Where can they find you, boy?
You can find me at IG as Sir G is chillin'.
Sir G is chillin'.
That's SIR. G is CHILLIN.
All right. That's it.
Yeah,
that is our show. Hopefully nothing happened. By the time we end the show, we are there.
New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.